Hiya, I just want to have a quick chat about how Brainmove can help you as a teacher and how Brainmove can help an individual that is there to learn. We all know that between the age of 0 to 3, we are starting to embed our personality through our learning and how we interact with the world and how the people in our lives force and express their education, not only academically but evolutionary, upon us. And we know between the ages of 3 to 6, this starts getting embedded deeper and deeper because more people tend to come into our lives and form the same environment that we once had between the ages of 0 and 3, that we start to understand that this is the truth and this is the only way there is. So our personality starts to be developed by the social environment that we live in, and it has nothing to do with our own understanding. We switch on our neurological pathways for our growth and our child development, but it's a social interaction through the outside world that triggers those responses neurologically and reflexively from us. So we already start to embed our personality at that young age. Most of the time, our personality has been changed and adapted to meet some social need. And then we go into an educational setting at a young age where we are in a group of people, 30, 40 plus people. So our survival mechanism for our evolutionary brain is on heightened alert. Now our survival mechanism is not there to keep us running from a saber-toothed tiger. It's now, in this day and age, a social interaction issue. So we are looking at other people and comparing ourselves at their young age. I'll be better than them, are they better than us? They look different from us, they speak different from us. And how we interact and learn from other people, as well as finding our social place. Am I the person who's going to lead? Am I the person who's not going to lead? Am I an introvert or an extrovert? So I'm always starting to be embedded with other people's in that social interactional world. So I'm in a heightened state of alert. So my survival mechanisms are up, and I'm looking for a place, a safe place within that social group. And then education comes in, and I'm now being taught to learn, being told how to do things, being told that most of the time there's only one way to learn, and this is the way that we need to form. So we find activities set on by the educational setting that we either thrive in or we are looking for ways to survive in. If we look for ways to survive in, and we are in a heightened state of survival, and this could be now driven by our social interactional group as we don't fit in and we don't feel good enough, and we're starting to judge our learning by how good we think we are, then I will find somehow cognitively the quickest way out of that situation. Now, because I'm younger and the environment is full of adults, I haven't got the ability to fight my way out of it as a survival mechanism. So I go back and convert back to what I did as a child between 0 and 3. I will shout and scream and I will cry. Because once upon a time that feared a positive outcome. A guardian would soothe me and could even give me something that I was screaming for. I screamed for a sweet. To stop me from screaming, a sweet was given. So in my mind, I survived. And I'll keep doing that until I keep getting the same results. So my survival mechanism is built upon me searching the environment to get the same results again that I once did that made me feel safe. And the quickest way I do that is revert back to that 0, 3 and 0, 6 years of age. So now I'm in a school situation and I want to find the quickest way out because my survival instincts kick in. So I will scream and shout or be disruptive. I could go the other way and find writing and reading and spelling and speaking difficult. It doesn't matter. It's just my brain and my mind's way of saying you need to find the quickest way out, because this is a survival instinct now and you feel threatened. So the quickest way out is for me to not participate in the activity that was causing me stress. And stress is a survival instinct where we feel unsafe. So I could scream and shout and have behaviour issues. I could be lazy and not want to talk and just sitting in the corner. I could have difficulty in my handwriting, speech and spelling. All because I want to be out of that situation as quick as I can. Because my survival instinct's at stake and I feel threatened. And now I'm in a learning situation where nothing, I mean nothing, that the individual or the environment is trying to teach me actually goes into my brain at all. It's a key thing to remember. When my survival instinct's at stake and I go into a threatening mode and I find the quickest way out of there, no learning will ever take place. Now the issue is, I'm always searching for those environments at that young age. Even as an adult I am. As a young child, I'm always searching for those environments where I feel stressed and unsafe, because if I can find them and I've got a mechanism how to make myself feel safe, then that's what I want to do. So I'm searching the environment for anything I feel stressed about. So I'm always in a stressed, survival, threatened state. So most of the time, no learning will ever take place. And if that's a high survival state, because between the ages of 0 and 6 something's happened, and my environment and my social interaction produced at a quick an age and it was reinforced and conditioned, then I'm always at that high end state. So no learning will ever take place. What happens is this. I will go through a sensory processing issue where I down-regulate sensory information from the external environment. That down-regulation for the external environment produces a habitual pathway. And the habitual pathway will be picked up by certain aspects of my brain. And I go through a processing disorder where my whole brain integration becomes an isolated processing issue. What I mean by that is, when information comes from the outside through all my senses and gets immersed in my brain through high brain integration, that's when learning takes place. The greater the information I have available to me at the time, the greater learning takes place. But more importantly, the greater the safety I have at that time, the more learning takes place. And the greater I have whole brain interaction, where information from all parts of my brain is communicated to every single part of my brain to produce the best result of a perception of what is being taught to me to how I understand it. But when I go through a sensory processing issue, where I down-regulate certain sensory information, that is needed because that's the quickest way that I can get to my end result, which means I'll get to my end habit, my end behaviour as quick as I can to reinforce myself being safe to get out of the situation. I can't have more information coming at that point in the moment, because more information means more understanding. I'm trying to get out of that situation, so the quickest way I can get out of the situation is to react in the quickest way possible that gives me the chance to feel safe. And I would do that by down-regulating my sensory input from the outside, my environmental input, which means I go through an isolated brain processing issue or processing disorder or functional processing disorder, where some of my brain gets down-regulated and disconnected. I get disassociation within the brain. I produce habitual pathways that will keep getting repeated over and over again, and I'll always go into one of the 4 quadrants of the brain and produce the same habit. For example, you might get a child who's very, very quiet, who sits there and at the point of feel stressed, they just want to disassociate. So their sensory information will be down-regulated through the environmental processes that we live by, so maybe visual, maybe auditory, etc., etc. So both eyes and ears and tongue and nose and smell and touch, all the receptors start to change, and I will down-regulate some and keep some in the same pathways. I need some information to understand what's going to happen to me at the end result, but I would down-regulate all the extra external information that I can to produce the quickest natural pathway that I can to the end point. So I down-regulate my sensory input. My brain will go for an isolated part, so in this case the part might go to part B, and that part B will be an issue of quiet, emotional, disconnected, isolated, non-functional, non-speaking part. So the person's output and the information is only going to that certain part of the brain, would be what that certain part of the brain requires. Now the brain is the whole integration. Everything, every part of the brain does everything else. There's no left and there's no right, there's no front, there's no back, no up and down. Everything does everything. Everything's a hologram of itself, except the point where your survival is at stake. And the quickest pathway to the brain to pick up the same information that you once did and you still currently do between the age of 0 and 6 that got you to the end result that made you feel safe will be heightened. So the person's only expectation for behaviour will be to be quiet, to be isolated. Now that person's being pushed and being pushed and being pushed and being pushed. That person might break down, they might cry, they might cry, and they might come in their shell. It might be very difficult to talk to. They will be difficult to talk to. No learning's taking place at that point. And we have all different parts of the quadrants of the brain. They'll do all different kinds of things. But at the point where I feel that my survival is at stake, due to my conditioning between the ages of 0 and 6, and the condition is based on social interaction from the outside world, I will go through a centering processing issue where I will down-regulate as much information from the environment as I can through my senses, which means there's less information going into the brain, but it's going into the same pathways that you did all those years ago between the ages of 0 and 6 that got you the end result. And the end result is the only thing you care about, because the end result kept you safe. And you would do that every time you feel your survival is at stake. So when you're in that situation, no learning will ever take place. Now as a teacher and educator, when we know that a person goes through a brain isolation or syndrome, or brain processing syndrome, or disconnection syndrome, or dysfunctional syndrome, or non-functional syndrome, whatever you want to call it, but the brain disassociates from itself. So some parts are not active and some parts are. And I know that the sensory processing issue becomes a dysfunctional one because most of my senses will shut down information and only have certain parts of my sensory input from the environment being activated. So the less information in, straight to the pathway of the brain that produces the same survival instinct that you did before, same response. I can't have more information coming in. That makes no sense. More information means whole brain integration, which means I'm safe, and I'm not safe. And I want to get that pathway. And we said that no learning can ever take place. But when you know as an educator this happens to your children, or you as an adult, and you're trying to teach them, it's not surprising that no education or no learning will ever take place. But here's the key thing, is that we can map the sensory processing issues that you have. We can map your favoured parts, we can map your non-favoured parts. We can map your brain disconnection problems. We can take you out of the isolated brain and put you into the integrated brain in a very short period of time, and I mean seconds. Once we can map how your brain disassociates at the point of survival, how you go through a centering processing issue at that point of survival, and how we can bring back whole brain integration through whole processing situations, and how we can bring back sensory information for the sensory processing issues, how we can stimulate what you don't currently have through your external stimulation, through your sensory information, through your brain's processing issues, to bring back whole brain integration. Once you get whole brain integration, learning takes place. If we don't have whole brain integration, and you have an isolated parts of the brain that picks up the information from the less information that you're getting for your sensory processing issues, because you feel threatened and your survival is at stake, because part of your social interaction or group is you don't feel good enough, or you feel embarrassed or scared or worried or upset. Many more issues to that. And no learning takes place. Don't be surprised if the outcome, if certain quadrants are being stimulated at that particular point. You get behaviour issues, you get outbursts, you get anger. Don't be surprised if you get isolation and loneliness. Don't be surprised if you get people that have learning or speech or writing issues. It's just a way of them, the individual, the child, the adult, to get out of the situation as quick as possible, because the end result is you're not doing what you need to be doing, and the person that is teaching you tends to leave you alone or down or reduce the intensity of how they're trying to teach you. Expect less. Makes it easier. Don't be surprised if things like ADHD or dyslexia or behaviour issues blessing, because they will be, because at that point you are going through a brain isolation disconnection syndrome. You have a down regulation of the sensory processing issues, and no learning will ever take place. Have a great day, guys. That's a very quick intro to how brain move and learning can work with each other to bring back a whole brain integration, to be able to re-educate the sensory processing issues that you don't have. Ultimately, produce a better learning for the individual and a perception in their brain of understanding and forming a consistent, but more importantly, the longevity of the information that's been presented. Have a great day, guys. Any more information, please ask me. I hope to see you on a Brain Move Phase 1 course very soon near you.